Alrighty. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the annual State of Schools Address. My name is Erin Skipper, and as the chair of the school board, it is an honor to stand before you today. This event is a pivotal moment for us to celebrate the remarkable progress we have made over the past year and focus on the exciting opportunities ahead. Today, Superintendent David Broski will provide an insightful overview of our school district's journey, highlighting the key achievements from the past, discussing the ongoing work of our school district, and sharing how each of us, whether a parent, educator, or community member, can continue to play a pivotal or vital role in the success of our schools. Before we officially begin, I would like to invite board member Beth Clark to lead us in this morning's invocation.
If you would pray with me. Father God, we give thanks to you for all your blessings. We thank you for our many teachers and the gifts you have bestowed upon them. It is a true God-given talent to do the work that they do and do so well. We pray for all those in authority in our educational system, that the decisions made would be with your grace and guidance. Help us to continue to raise leaders, not followers, to know the value of teaching our children the virtue of being good citizens on both a moral and intellectual level. Students who understand the freedoms of our country, a constitutional republic created only from your divine intervention. As we continue to improve on discipline and respect in our schools, may we strive for our Clay educational system to be preeminent in our state. We ask this in your will, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. I'd like to invite Robert Avero, representing District 2 School Board, to lead us on the presentation of colors, Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mrs. Clark. Please rise for the presentation of colors conducted by ROTC cadets from Middleborough High School under the leadership of Petty Officer Aaron Lee, retired U.S. Navy.
Present. Oh. Ready. Up.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hold. Ready. Up. Face. Hold. Up.
You might be seated. Please welcome school board member Michelle Hanson into the stage.
Thank you, Mr. Alvaro. We are thrilled to have you join us for our annual State of Schools address, a special opportunity for our community to come together to celebrate and gain a deeper understanding of the exceptional work happening within Clay County schools. This morning, we are pleased to recognize distinguished guests and officials in attendance. As I introduce you, please stand to be acknowledged. Let's begin by welcoming our elected officials whose presence we are honored to have here today. Former Senator Rab Broadley. Coalition Board, Representative Sam Garrison. Brian Campbell, representing Congressman Aaron Bean. Scotty Taylor, Republican State Committeeman. County Commissioners Alexandra Compere, Jim Renninger, Betsy Condon, Kristen Burke, and John Scromolo. Diane Hutchings, Clay County Tax Collector. Christy Drake, Clay County Property Appraiser. Sheriff Michelle Cook from Clay County Sheriff's Office. Nina Rodenroth, City of Keystone Heights Mayor. Stephen Kelly, City of Green Cove Springs Mayor. Thomas Smith, City of Green Cove Springs Vice Mayor. Randy Anderson, Town of Orange Park Mayor. Lynette Sandlin, Town of Orange Park Vice Mayor. Doug Bennefield, Town of Orange Park Councilman. Kenneth Vogel, Town of Orange Park Councilman. If you are an elected official, I have not yet been recognized and have not been recognized by name, please take a moment to stand so we can acknowledge you. Thank you all for being here and joining us for our annual State of School Address. At this time, I am pleased to turn it over to our School Board Vice Chair, Ashley Gilhausen, who will introduce our Superintendents of Schools.
Thank you, Michelle. David Broski has had a long and distinguished 36-year career with Clay County District Schools. He began his career in 1989 as a teacher and coach at Lakeside Junior High. From there, he became an assistant principal, my assistant principal, at Clay High. Mr. Broski continued to progress in his career as he became principal at Orange Park Junior High, Middleburg High, Ms. Skipper is principal there, and Oak Leaf High School. Through his leadership, every one of those schools rose to an A ranking as recognized by the state of Florida. I think that deserves a hand up. In 2015, Mr. Broski was selected to become the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, and then in March of 2020, he was appointed by Governor DeSantis to lead Clay County District Schools. Talk about trial by fire. In November 2020, he was elected by the citizens of Clay County. Over the course of his career, he has received numerous awards, including the Excellence in Education Leadership Award. This award was presented during the 2023 Florida School Board Association, Florida Association of District School Superintendents Annual Summer Conference in recognition of his outstanding leadership. In 2024, he ran unopposed and was re-elected superintendent. And I can't remember the last time any superintendent ran unopposed.
Mr. Owens.
Mr. Owens, okay. That's an accomplishment in itself. Through his dedication and leadership, Clay County District Schools continues to be an A-rated and academically high-performing district as recognized by the Florida Department of Education. Superintendent Broski is known for his calm demeanor and his compassion for all stakeholders. Clay County Schools is simply a better place because of him. Anyone who knows Mr. Broski can attest that his intense focus is always on the students of Clay County. And now, it's my pleasure to introduce our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. David Broski.
Hi, good morning. When I hear about all the positions that she mentioned, I think to myself, one thing, it means I'm old. That's all that means. So I'm very humbled to be here today. So thankful that you're here today to support Clay County District Schools. There's no doubt that we have a great community leaders that make Clay County the great place that it is. and a place where parents want their student to go to school. So thank you so much for that. You know, when I look around the room today, I see a whole community of people, and I'm always reminded that education is the ultimate team endeavor. It takes every single one of us to do our part to have a successful school district. So I want to thank you for being part of Team Clay. You're an official member now, you didn't know that, but I'm anointing you an official member of Team Clay. It takes all of us to make a successful school system. From our elected officials, you know, county commissioners, all 5 of you showing up means a lot to me. While we have separate budgets and separate responsibilities under the Constitution, the fact that you're all here means a lot to me. I've taken great note of that. By the way, thank you so much for your support. The school board. Let me thank the school board for what they do. How many people realize being a school board member is a tough job? Right? Being elected is a tough job all to itself, but is there ever an organization where everybody has a knowledge of the organization and does not hesitate to tell you how to do your job? Probably not. Every single one of us consider ourselves to be educators because we educate our children. And so people don't hesitate to tell you how to do your job really quickly in the educational sector. And so I thank the school board for all of their work and being part of that governance team that sticks together to make our school system the great school system that it is. So thank you so much. The teachers, administrators, and support employees that are out there, thank you for all that you do for students. I always say it's never been tougher to be a teacher than it is right now. I also follow that up with, it's never been more important to be a teacher than it is right now. So thank you, all the folks that are out there that are on the front line. I see some principals, I see some district folks out there. Thank you for what you do. Today's celebration has a lot of student input into it. For example, the flowers up here are from Blooming Broncos, which is the horticulture class out at Middleburg High School. You saw the ROTC was Middleburg High School again. Ridgeview High School culinary, the food. How about a round of applause for that? Then on top of that, the students that were greeting you, by the way, when you came in, they're part of the Superintendent's Advisory Council. So important to get the voice of students and hear what students are thinking. What a great group of students. In fact, you're going to hear from one of those students later on during this program. So thank you for all of that. Also at this, I always recognize those people have tremendous influence, you know, in my career. And out there is former Superintendent David Owens. You know, my dad always said, you should always honor those that got you where you got, right? And so David Owens gave me my first job. I will never forget the impact that David Owens had on my life. And yes, he's the last superintendent to go unopposed. I think it was 2004 that occurred. So a big round of applause from I like to say everything I've learned from David Owens, so if you like me, then you can thank him. If you don't like me, then you can blame him. Just remember that. I'd like to take time to recognize John and Nancy Ring, who welcomed me into their family. And last but not least, and certainly first in my heart, is my wife Sue. Anybody that's heard me speak knows that I will at some point mention my wife during that time frame. So important to me. Those of you that have an elected job know that the job is not just a job. I always say the superintendency is not a job, it's a lifestyle. Okay, it starts with phone calls in the morning, it ends at nighttime events that we have. And I like to call those nighttime events, if I actually have some sort of food at the nighttime event, I call it a date. It's a true story. So on the calendar at home, on the refrigerator, if food is served, I circle it. And I count it as a date. And so my wife Sue has been on a lot of dates over the last 4 years with me. And I thank her for all that she puts up with. Nobody has a greater servant's heart for children. She's an all-star in her own right. And when Clay County elected me, they didn't realize the bonus that they got, which is my wife, Sue. So thank you, Sue. Events like this one always have people behind the scenes, so many people to thank, but I do want to thank Terry Dennis over there by the camera, Kelly Watt, who is outstanding Chief of Staff in Clay County, Karen and Trudy and everybody that put this presentation together. Thank you so much for what you guys do. I mean, I got the easiest job in the world. I just have to show up and speak. All the work happens by other people behind the scenes as you gather. So thank you for that. Today's presentation is brought to us by Scorpio Construction. Where's Dominic? Where are you? There. Dominic Scorpio Construction. Imagine being a construction company and he's building a 32-wing classroom addition out at Oak Leaf Junior High. You'll also see this very sign up on the fencing going downtown into Green Cove. They're building a building down there. So imagine being a construction person and we say, hey, there's certain days in which you can't make any noise. Because we're educators, right? We got kids on campus. We got things to do. Couldn't ask for a better business partner and person who really does an outstanding job in the work that he does. As you know, we're expanding. And folks like Dominic do a great job. And he's provided all that you see here today, which is the event and the food and all the costs involved in that. So thank you, Dominic. All right, you may or may not know this, but I was a history teacher for 10 years. And so every year when we do State of Schools started 6 years ago. And State of Schools has kind of morphed into what you see today. We did a survey last year and we said, we've done it at night, we've done it at lunch, and then last year we switched to the morning time, because what we heard from all of you is that if it's during lunch, it kind of breaks the whole day. And if it's at night, well, we don't want to come at night. So what we heard was, do in the morning, give us food, make it short. That's what we heard. Right? We've come to that conclusion, and that's what you're going to get today. So before 9:30, okay, we're going to give you a broad overview of Clay County. We wanted to do it in a way that's different each year. So you're going to see a big historical push in today's presentation. Being a former history teacher, I taught U.S. history, American government, and law for 10 years in the classroom, both junior high and high school. So you're going to see some things out here today. I'm even going to show you Scotty Taylor's parking spot at Orange Park High School. He was a student there. So I'm going to try to have some fun. One of the things that kind of, I think, frustrates staff is that I don't read from a script. Right, so then they're all like, I'm kind of afraid of what you're going to say. I usually stay on task, but I can't guarantee that that's the case. I think it makes it more interesting to kind of talk off the cuff than to read from a piece of paper. So I apologize if something happens along that way. Why do we do State of Schools? Public education is so important to our community. Having a good school system is so important. We're blessed to have a good school system. A good school system is good for the economy of Clay County. It's good for the real estate agents. It's good for the builders. It's good for everybody. It's good for students, right? That is the bottom line for all of them. So that's the reason why we do this. One of the things that I love about Clay County, and I had the opportunity to go to a couple other jobs that quite frankly were less stressful and paid more money than this one, is the community that we have here. Just look around. Kind of soak it in for a second. All of the people that are here to support Clay County schools, you know, if you have any role in Clay County, you should be impressed and appreciative of what we have within our school system. So thank you so much. One of the things I always like to do for fun is to say, if you've graduated from a Clay County school, raise your hand. Just take a look around you. I used to do something where I would say, hey, if you know somebody who graduated and all this, and every hand would go up, right? So it's kind of like, okay, so I'm not going to do that to you today. The point is well taken. So many folks have such an influence on our county, and they give back to their community. I'm just very appreciative of that. So here we go. We're going to do this more from a historical perspective. What you see there is Orange Park Elementary School. It opened in 1928, so a couple of years, it's going to be 100 years old. That's our oldest building, Orange Park Elementary. I want to thank Vichy. Where's Vichy at? Vichy out of Tara Green's office, the archivist. She's the one that gave us the photos. Kelly Watt, by the way, is an old history teacher from back in the day. We enjoyed the heck out of finding these photographs for you and bringing these to you. So thank you so much for helping us out in that endeavor. You know, it opened up, it cost $22,000 to build Orange Park Elementary back in the day. The wing that we just built, or in the process of building at Oak Leaf Junior and at Lake Asbury Junior, roughly $20 million. My times have changed when it comes to that. So now you can see that the other thing I kind of point out to you is that there was a tremendous community sense even back then. So really, when you look at it, back in the day when it first opened, transportation was actually done by horse and wagon, by pecan farmers off of Kingsley Avenue. Okay, that's how people got to school back in the day. The lunches were provided for 10 cents, they were provided by the Orange Park Women's Club. The food was grown on Spencer Farms. Those of us that have been around Clay County know Spencer Farms. The recreation is actually Moose Haven gave us donated the first playground at OPE, and you know the proximity right across the street, right across 17 there. The books all provided, although we don't talk about books nowadays. It's kind of a sore topic, but you guys know the books were all provided by Orange Park Women's Club. Actually gave us all of the materials to do what we do. The fundraising, the trash collection, I was just going to say, I was going to make the point to the commissioners that they actually started talking about trash collection back there. Sorry for the sore topic, but it was Orange Park Women's Club. Basically, they came by to collect all of the trash within the schools. Fundraising was also done by the Orange Park Women's Club, as well as their health needs. It was all taken care of by the community. So the point that I'm trying to make to you, we've had a long tradition in Clay County of the community supporting our school system, and it's so critical to what we do. So let's talk a little bit about growth, because today I'm going to talk a little bit about growth. I'm going to talk about the student experience. We're going to hear from the student today and the student's experience within the school system. When you take a look at Clay County, we went from 32,000 people in Clay County to 235,000 today. That's the growth that we had. In fact, today in Clay County schools, we have more people that are students than there were people in Clay County back in 1970. So you can see the growth of Clay County and how fast that goes. Here you go. So let's see if I can do this laser pointer. That's Scotty Taylor's parking spot. That's it. So I know that Scotty can take it. But what I did learn is that the mayor of Middleburg actually went to Orange Park High. He's got a good excuse because Middleburg High didn't open until 1980, okay, for that. But here's one of those historical photos. You can see Kingsley Avenue. You can see Blanding, just to kind of give you the reference. There's the school on the corner. 1962, let's see. Somewhere up here, you can see Doctor's Lake, somewhere by the red dot up there. You can see there's Doctor's Lake. Now, to kind of transpose that, here's Orange Park High School today. Looks a lot different. You can see all the cars, all the road. You can see the CTE wing. You can see the stadium. You can still see Doctor's Lake in the background. One of the things that I wanted to point out and start right off the bat is deal with the issue of growth. So on this, every time I give this presentation on growth, I try to do it differently every time. So in case you've heard it, you're going to hear something different today. It's a different graphic. What you see there, those monopoly houses are all developments going into our community. The green line that you see going down the center, that's the First Coast Expressway. You can see all of those various communities coming together here. We've kind of put them into, hey, they're building right now. They're getting started building, and there's future growth there. So The Lake Asbury area, you can see from the pink AI-generated graphic there, everywhere you see pink is current construction going on in Lake Asbury. You can see the number of homes that we're anticipating that are going to occur within the next 7 or 8 years. That's 19,000 roughly new homes projected to be built in Clay County. We have so many people. I know that where's Bryce, Lance, and Paul are out there. Our operations folks do a great job of tracking that information. School systems don't have the option of saying no vacancy. I want to have your room, right? If it was a hotel, you just say, we don't have any room and you're done. You can't do that if you're a school system. You have to prepare. So in order to prepare, we have short range, mid-range, long-range plans for that. And the plans change constantly depending on market conditions as to how many schools you're going to build. So when you look out here, the next high school is projected for Saratoga Springs, which I view Saratoga Springs as between Green Cove and Lake Asbury in that area. So you're looking at approximately 2030. 150 million is a low estimate. I was sitting next to a superintendent last week that just had a new high school open. It was almost 200 million for a new high school, okay? A lot of money goes into that. So being fiscally responsible, and I'm thankful to the board for being fiscally responsible. We've added 2 new wings this year that are currently being built. One at Lake Asbury Junior High, one at Oakleaf Junior High. And what we've done is our 2 high growth areas will be moving 6th grade next year in that area to those schools. In essence, you got a 2-for-1 deal budgetarily in order to address growth. It's a smart strategic move by the board. We're very thankful for that. Dominic Scorpio and his group are building the one out there at Oakleaf. I think Bill Pearson is here from Parrish McCall. Parrish McCall has been another great business partner within Clay, built many Clay County schools and continues to do great work for us out there. So does anybody realize that when you tell a parent that their child's moving to school, that they don't like that? Anybody out there? Right? So we've had community meetings and all of that, and anytime that you move a person's school, it becomes a very big deal. So those are the plans to address growth. If you look at growth, for those of you that have ever seen the hurricane forecast, and usually the weatherman stands by the map, and you see this cone go out there and it gets wider and bigger. And they say, here's the 5-day forecast. It's going to come. And the cone is really big. And then it gets smaller when it comes to today. It's so easy to see the here and now. It's a little bit more difficult to see what 10 years looks like. And so when you're looking at growth, and the reason why it changes constantly is because now it's getting closer and becomes clearer what's going to happen. Sometimes developments don't actually start on time. Sometimes they go faster than we anticipated, etc. We do a great job of monitoring that, and I'm very thankful for the folks in operation who do that work and keep track of that. So we're going to segue to students, okay? This is actually the old way of doing it. How many people remember getting class pictures in school? Okay, now you get a digital download. All right, so now it's class pictures. This is 1967, Charles E. Bennett Elementary School. You would always have the name of the teacher, Miss Geiger, 1st grade. Then the right corner it says Ray Jenner, principal. A little known fact, Ray Jenner hired one Susan Brodsky to her very first job in Clay County. So little history there. Mr. Jenner has passed away a couple years ago. We went to his funeral, great man. Today, 42,000 students. Much different society than we had back in the day related to that. We went from having 10 schools to now 43. When I first started, there was 22 schools, 1989. Okay, so you can see the growth of Clay County schools. Where's Randall? There's Randall here, right? This is how they got to school in the 1960s. That was the oldest bus picture that I could find of a real school bus. I mean, we have horse and wagon pictures. That's how they got there to begin with, right? So nowadays, 3.2 million miles traveled by Clay County buses, about 185 buses on the road each and every day. So that would be the equivalent of going around the equator 129 times. So if you feel like you're always behind a yellow bus, I promise you it's not the same yellow bus, but you're always behind one of them. 3.2 million miles is 3.2 million miles, but I wanted to give you the big picture of Clay County Schools so you would kind of say, or at least wonder, I wonder how much the gas costs. I wonder how many people it takes to maintain them. How often do those tires get replaced, right? There's expenses that go with, it's the largest transportation system in Clay County, and the folks out there do a really, really good job. Average bus, the cost of a bus is about 150 grand. The 77 pack, the bigger buses, are 175 grand. So nobody's giving things away in today's world. Here's the lunch ladies from Charles E. Bennett Elementary. I was certified because I looked at the picture very closely. All have hairnets on. I was certified in today. So we moved from that to now we serve 5.6 million meals. The cost of a lunch is $2.50 for elementary. It's $2.75 for secondary schools. We've recently renovated the Middleburg High cafeteria is virtually new, as well as Keystone Heights Elementary School. Fantastic build out there. I mean, I hate to say it, it's probably the nicest elementary lunchroom that we've ever had in Clay County. It's beautiful. You're out in the Keystone area. I always remember, I have fond memories of lunch at school. I just remember having a tray, and it would always be a piece of square pizza, and you always had green beans or corn. How many people remember green beans and corn? Right, with a chocolate milk. So it was always square pizza, green beans, and chocolate milk, and you're thinking, who came up with that? I'm not going to Pizza Hut and ordering a side of green beans. Right? They have a bunch of rules they have to follow about USDA guidelines and those kinds of things. But you know, when you look at it, 5.6 million meals makes us the largest restaurant in Clay County. Is Clay County Schools. This is Old Clay High School. This is now what we call the H.C. Long Building. This is right next to the historic triangle. It's right next to the historic courthouse, right across the street from the Taps Monument, if you know that. This is the H.C. Long Building. Kind of the interesting thing there, you can see at this point, it's a 2-story building. This is where Clay High was. It's a 1-story building. So at some point, I haven't tracked it down, we lost the building, or the top part of the building, somewhere along the way. Today, we got 6.7 million square feet of air-conditioned space in Clay County. That's a lot to maintain. So I'm just trying to give you a big picture of Clay County. If you only got 40 minutes, how can I explain all of Clay County schools in 40 minutes? I'm just trying to give you the big picture of what actually happens within the school system, because the school system is both an educational institution and it's also a business. There's a whole business side to what we do. You can imagine the cost of maintaining. Those of you that have a home, just maintaining your home, imagine 6.7 million square feet and attempting to clean it, maintain it, do all those kinds of things, right? That is a picture of the Oak Leaf 32 classroom wing that Scorpio Construction is putting together for us. Now, any organization is only as good as the people involved. The people involved are, that is all the teachers in all of Clay County back in I believe it's 1920. The average teacher got paid $75 a month in 1920. That, by the way, is right in front of the old courthouse, right where you see that Model T looking car. That's where the Taps Monument is over there. And you can kind of see that's everybody that worked in Clay County back in 1920. Today, we've got 5,300 people that work in Clay County schools. That is a picture of all of our teachers of the year at one time. We also had the Florida Teacher of the Year for the whole state, Melissa Matson, in 2023. We've come a long way when it comes to compensation for our employees, so I'd like to take a second to kind of point that out. Since 2020, we've added an additional $56 million additional $56 million towards compensation of our employees. It's a extremely high priority, and even with that, I would argue that our employees are still underpaid. So there's the continuous fight in order to find more resources for the people that work. We're in the people business. We don't make products. We make people, and we have to take care of our people first and foremost. But we made tremendous progress. That would be the point I'd like to emphasize. We do have some people I'd like to recognize today. We have our Principal of the Year, Sarah Brennan. Sarah, why don't we have you all stand up? We also have our Assistant of the Year, Christina Thompson. Our Teacher of the Year, Amanda Watson. Nikki Massey is our school-related employee of the year. And Sierra Harden is our Rookie Teacher of the Year. You can see photos up there of our Teacher of the Year, School-Related Employee of the Year celebration. Wouldn't be possible without the Clay Education Foundation and their support. The Clay Education Foundation does a great job of supporting the mission of Clay County Schools, both with Tools for Schools, the Apple Award ceremony, great for grants for great ideas. So many things that they do. I believe I've seen mingling. Carolyn Kroll, the president, Heather Obermiller, the vice president. I saw Michael Rathjen here. I saw G. I saw Al DeJesus. That's a big round of applause for the Clay Education. Also, how about this? We give away a free car to the winner. Was it a good car?
It's so great.
Awesome car. Garber Auto Mall. I think I saw Zach. Zach, are you in here? Zach, I thought I saw Zach. Zach Moore. Garber Auto Mall does a great job of supporting our school system in many ways. In fact, our teacher depot is located right in Garber Auto. They gave up space for us and our teachers, and so thank you so much for what you do there. Anybody that owns a business knows that the people that work for you either make your business or they break your business. And so the idea of recruiting, retaining, and developing people is so important to what we do in the school system, and we do a fantastic job of that. Our retention rate is one of the highest in the state for our employees, and the way that you do that is you certainly have to provide the training so that people gather the skills that they need to be successful, but you also have to give them a little bit of ownership and a little bit of leadership in their work, right? You can't have a top-down type approach. We have here at 800 teachers going to summer training in order to increase their leadership skills for when they go back to their school and be a leader in their school. So I'm very proud of what we do in the professional development realm. The number one impact on a child's education, number one, proven research, the teacher in the classroom, right? It always comes down, that's the ground floor. By the way, anybody know the second? The principal, the leadership of the school is the number two high yield strategy for student success. So the question I always get is, how do you know, anybody know that Facebook is not real? Is there anybody out there, right? So I don't go on to Facebook. I know that you guys have seen me on Facebook. I try to avoid that at all costs, because I go on there and I think to myself, I am horrified by humanity. If you're an elected official and you agree, shake your head. Right? It's like, oh my God, stuff that you know is not even real. Like, what is this? The sad and scary part of today's society, there's people that believe that. So the question might be, well, how do you know good things are happening in the classroom? The answer is, we go there to see it. And then we monitor that. This simple graph that you probably can't see from where you are is proof that we do that. We go into classrooms, we monitor that. I could tell you exactly how many times we've been into a classroom, how long we were in there, what we saw when we were there. All of those kinds of things are occurring. Now, what happens if you do all of that? As a history teacher, I always watch the State of the Union address, and at some point, in the State of the Union address, the president comes to the microphone, he says, "The State of the Union is strong." Right, how many people know what I'm talking about? There's like that one-liner that happens every time. Well, as superintendent, I'm gonna tell you this, Clay County Schools is not just a good school system, it's a great school system. Yeah, if you're out there, if you're like me, because I'm a New Yorker, so we're all skeptical. If you're a New Yorker, you're saying, of course you're saying that. You're the superintendent of the school. You're going to say that. No, this is what the state of Florida said. This is not what Dave Brodsky said. This is what the state of Florida said. So my campaign of facts, not Facebook, truth, not Twitter, and real information, not Instagram, is alive and well. Right? So here you go. Here's what Clay County Schools is. You know, A-rated districts, there's 14 districts in the state of Florida that are A-rated. Clay County is proud to be one of them. Clay County is academically high performing. What does that mean? It means we not only meet the criteria for student academics, but class size and also our budgetary practices are included within that. So the school board does a great job of being fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars. That's what that award means. 95% graduation rate, that's the highest ever in Clay County history. And we are home to the #1 ranked school, public school in the state of Florida, Orange Park Elementary School. And you might notice how many people realize right away that the guy's competitive. Right? I grew up in a family of 10. I'm number 9 out of 10 children. Dinner was competitive. Okay? Everything was competitive. Why would we not want the very best for our kids? Right? That's kind of the mantra. When you take a look over here, #1 out of 67 county in civics. We have a proud tradition, a military tradition within our county. Civics is so important, civics education. You can see all of those rankings all within the top 10, English, math, science, and social studies. With that being said, my dad used to say to me, I'll never forget coming home, I did not like Spanish class in high school. And I remember getting a 92 on the test. And I came home and I showed it to my dad, who was a very demanding individual. And he looked at me, he said, well, you know, that's good, but you're 8 points away. And I thought, really? Like, come on, man. And I would say the same thing. Certainly there's work to be done. There's more to do. But you have to celebrate where you're at first. You know, that work that happens behind the scenes, I can assure you, happens every day. Painstakingly happens towards improvement. Today's not about that, because I found out that you guys really aren't interested in the wonky stuff that I love to talk about. By the way, you guys want the big picture of what's happening within our school system, not the little things we do along the way to make it better. And so teachers will testify out there. They're saying, amen, I understand what you're saying, because they're the ones on the front line doing that. So a big round of applause there. Now we're going to quickly talk about the student experience, because the bottom line is, how does it affect students? What happens with students? You know, students have only a couple of options when they get out of school. They're either going to go on to college, they're going to enlist in the military, or they're going to get a job. We have a whole plethora of accelerated programs that they can be in. Every high school now has ACE. Many students graduate with an AA degree. In fact, the student speaker will have her AA degree when she graduates from high school. We also have CTE programs that are second to none. There's Garber Auto Academy, Middleburg High School. For that, I saw Michael here. We have the ViStar Academy. We look for ways to have workforce development where we have a direct pipeline from students in school to jobs in the real world. I saw Jeremy Johnston out there from CCUA, a lot of internships. Alice Polk and Kelly Mosley do a great job in providing this. We do this all within our schools. So I hear people say stuff like, hey, where's the VOTEC Center? Or where's vocational? It's all within the schools, integrated within the schools would be the correct answer. I also want to recognize our proud military tradition. We have 10 schools that are Purple Star schools. that celebrate the sacrifices that families make when parents are deployed, when they have to move to a new community, and all of that. 10 of those schools. We got Terry Wanamaker out there, who is our liaison, does a great job of supporting us in school, happens to be married to an okay guy. Howard Wanamaker.
We're on a date, James.
That's true, that's true. Make sure you circle it on the calendar and get credit for it. It's all about keeping good data. All right, the student experience. How about that? 1927, Clay High School basketball. Notice how they wear like a tie and a shirt. I thought that was kind of bizarre, the way they look, right? And then you see the modern. Let me just say that you want students to have the skills in school, but you also have soft skills that you learn. Like there's the formal stuff that you learn in school, right? Like the Pythagorean theorem, the periodic table of elements, all of that kind of stuff that you think is school. But then there's other things you learn in school. And those other things usually occur in things like athletics. I'd like to think everything that I learned that I needed to learn to be successful, I learned through athletics. Hard work, working with others, the ability to deal with defeat, right? A lot of people don't have coping skills in today's world. Like, you know, they don't know how to handle when something doesn't go their way, right? It's a whole thing, right? Athletics is so important to what we do. Got some great athletic programs, too many to mention. You had Fleming Island with 2 state championships, Middleburg, weightlifting, Clay High competitive cheer. Over, 6,000 students participate in athletics in Clay County schools. We do have some folks, Joe Mayo from Chick-fil-A, great sponsor of what we do. Robert and Sarah Murray, which is Royal Moose Coffee, another heavy donor to what we do athletically within our district, so thank you to them. The fine arts, not everybody's an athlete, right? I found that out. I actually was on the basketball team for 1 year. Keyword, 1 year. I found out I was not a good basketball player, right? So not everybody's an athlete. The fine arts, we've got some great fine arts. I thank the board for their commitment to the financing of the fine arts programs within our district. I think a celebration might be Fleming Island's band, state champions at Fleming Island Marching Band. 520 different clubs, 4,000 student volunteer hours. You can see some of that. You see the FFA program up there. Hard to believe I was an FFA student in high school. My parents moved from New York, right outside New York City. They moved to a rural area because they wanted to take me and my 2 brothers. There's 10 of us, so I'm at the end of the line. My little brother, you know, he was a blessing in an accident. That happened. They grabbed us, they moved us to a farming community out there in northeastern Pennsylvania, and I had a whole different experience coming from New York to a farming community. Lots of different experiences for students that make it worthwhile for students. There you can see the graduating class of Clay back in the day to there. Now it's important that we hear from students. And so this student, I've known this student for three years now. Lindsay Gillis. Okay, a couple of things about Lindsay before she comes on up and takes the microphone. President of FCCLA, president of FFEA, which is Florida Future Educators. Lindsay, let me just say for the record, you get your degree, you got a job. You heard it right here today, okay? She's been on the Superintendent Student Advisory Council for 3 years. She's currently the chair of that council, a great leader. Upon graduation, she'll earn her AA. She'll graduate with a degree already from high school. She plans to study music education at UNF, and after that, hopefully a job in Clay County schools. So without further ado, Lindsay Gillis. Go ahead.
The year is 2012.
The movie The Hunger Games came out in theaters. Justin Bieber, Maroon 5, and Pitbull were on it playing in everyone's cars. Microsoft released Windows 8, and Facebook reached 1 billion active users. But if I'm being completely honest, I don't remember any of that. What I do remember, though, is that 2012 was the year that I started kindergarten in the Clay County School District. Little did I know that I was walking into 13 years of growth, adventure, knowledge, and friendship. All 13 of those years in the Clay County School District. My name is Lindsay Gillis, and I am a proud product of Clay County District Schools. I started my schooling at Swimming Pen Creek Elementary with my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Newdigger. As I moved through elementary school, I was part of every club possible. I was in chorus, yearbook, student council, math team, news crew. I did everything. I won the talent show, I won the county Tropicana speech competition, I was the director's assistant in chorus. If you can name it, I probably did it. But I loved it. I loved every second of it. I was always a teacher's pet. I did nothing but stand out. Everyone knew my name. Everyone told me all the time, "You're gonna do great things, Lindsay," and I believed it. I knew that nothing could change the momentum that I had. I knew exactly who I was, and no person and no social pressure was going to change that. However, as I grew older, I turned out to be wrong. I stayed at Swimming Pen all the way through 6th grade before they pushed me out into the big world of Lake Asbury Junior High School. Going from a grade with 60 people in it to 600 was challenging. The ultimate goal in junior high is to blend in, so that was my new philosophy. Fly under the radar. But sometimes that felt impossible. I felt like no matter what I did, I was getting looked at and judged. I struggled to find friends and people who I genuinely trusted. I struggled to figure out who I wanted to be, what social group I wanted to be a part of, how I wanted to look, amongst many other things. I met people who I thought were my friends, just to find out that they weren't. But I also met people that I still talk to today, despite how much we've changed and grown. For the first time, I was taking classes that truly challenged me. I had to learn how to manage the stress of being in multiple classes, and I began getting grades that I had never seen before. However, I had teachers that would help me. I had teachers who believed that I could do it and went out of their way to make sure that I was still learning. My 7th grade science teacher pulled me aside and went over all the material I didn't understand when he realized I was falling behind. My 8th grade history teacher was very strict about taking notes, but when he realized that I would get better grades on my test when I was listening opposed to writing notes, he eased up on my grades so I would score better on my tests so I could listen. Eventually, I got into a rhythm, but I still couldn't figure out who I wanted to be. I noticed my appearance was changing, my hair was changing, my clothes were changing, my attitude was changing. I turned into someone I didn't want to be, just in the name of blending in. I went through the rest of middle school still trying to blend in, and it was hard. I struggled. I had many anxiety-filled days where I felt like I couldn't escape the pressure of having eyes on me at all times. I left elementary school so sure of who I was, and leaving junior high, I felt like I was living someone else's life. I took this blend-in mindset into high school. I started at Fleming Island High School in 2021. I went into high school with a very specific plan. I was going to take 4 years of course, 4 years of early childhood development, and take the most advanced courses in the effort of getting my AA degree. But I knew I wasn't going to get to my AA, so I was just trying to get as close as possible. Not very many people went from Lake Asbury Junior to Fleming Island High School, so I went back to square one on not having any friends. But slowly throughout freshman year, I started meeting people, but it took me the entire year to get to a point where I really felt like I was close with people. The entire year, I still just wanted to blend in, so I didn't put myself out there. I didn't join many clubs. I didn't apply for chorus leadership. I just wanted the least amount of attention drawn to me as possible. And I figured this was going to be my whole high school experience. I had the mindset of just needing to get through it. I will admit, I did have some fun. I did go to football games. I participated in homecoming week, but as far as my day-to-day life went, I didn't want anyone to notice me. However, I began finding that really hard. I felt like I had so much passion and energy without an outlet to put my passion and energy into. About the middle of my freshman year, I began talking to my chorus teacher, Mr. Ben Norman, about some of the social struggles I had been having. Mr. Norman was, and still is, a very special teacher. His door is always open, his mind's never shut off, and he always shows an interest in what his students are saying. Mr. Norman's class was one of the only classes where I began to break down that wall I had built. The wall of telling myself to stay in my corner and keep to myself. Toward the end of my freshman year, Mr. Norman asked me to audition for the auditioned chorus class. Freshmen didn't do that, especially not a freshman who was average like myself, but he asked me to, so I did. And I remember walking away from that audition feeling awful. I messed up my audition so bad because I was so nervous. But sure enough, I found my schedule the next year and I was in the auditioned chorus class. Mr. Norman believed that I could do it. He recognized my potential before I recognized it in myself, which is an important quality in an exceptional educator. Early childhood was another one of my favorite classes. It was a class of people within it that were very similar to myself, with similar interests, which made it a more comfortable environment for me. Some of the harshest judgment happening in that class was from the brutally honest preschoolers. If you've ever met anyone under the age of 5, you understand. I went into my sophomore year, and I was not into my early childhood class like I had planned, and so I was freaking out because it completely ruined my plan. And so I went to my early childhood teacher, Mrs. Amy Graham, and she said, "Don't worry about it. I want you in my class because I know you want to be a teacher. I will make sure you're in my class." That was a class I thought I had blended in, but she seemed to know quite a bit about me. Mrs. Grimm, who taught over 100 students, made sure to know me on an individual basis. She had a genuine interest in my success, which has made her a special teacher and a special person in my life. I realized in that moment that I stood out to her as well. My sophomore year was the year of putting myself out there. My sophomore year was the year of breaking out of my shell. I was tired of trying not to stand out because it seemed like as hard as I tried, people still noticed me, especially my teachers. I realized the people that liked me the most were the people who knew me for being me. Mr. Norman and Mrs. Grimm have spent the last 4 years helping me realize my full potential and all that I'm capable of. They saw things in me that I didn't see in myself. Standing here today, I am the president of FI Horses, the FIHS Chorus Program, the president of Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America at Fleming Island, the first president of Future Florida Educators of America FIHS chapter, and was elected the chair of this year's Superintendent Student Advisory Council. And remember when I told myself I couldn't get my AA before I graduated? Well, in May, I will graduate high school with my Associate of Arts from St. John's River College, a goal I previously thought was impossible. And remember when I wasn't put in my early childhood class and Mrs. Grimm made sure I was put in her class? Well, because I was able to take 4 years of her class, I have obtained my Childhood Development Associate Certificate from DCF, allowing me to be a preschool teacher out of high school. And remember when Mr. Norman put me in that advanced class after I messed up my audition? Well, he continued to support my success in music, and just recently I was accepted into the UNS School of Music for this upcoming fall to double major in music education and vocal performance. If you told freshman me that I would be standing here today, chosen to give this speech, I would have cried happy tears. This is because I lived in a world where I wanted to stand out, but I was scared to. And since then, I've had so many people in my life help to change my perspective, with my teachers being some of the biggest influences. I fully believe I would not be standing on this stage today without the support of my parents, Mrs. Grimm, Mr. Norman, my friends, Chief of Staff Mrs. Kelly Watt, and Superintendent of Schools Mr. David Broski. I love that I live in a school district where I can confidently say that the superintendent has personally supported my success and continuously serves this school district with the primary goal of student success. My name is Lindsay Gillis, and I can confidently say that I know who I am. And Clay County District Schools has played an instrumental role in getting me there. Throughout my time in Clay County Schools, one of my favorite things I've heard is "Make today a great day or not. The choice is yours." In the Clay County School District, I'm reminded that every day is a new day. Every day, I get the chance to make something different of myself. And every day, I am allowed the opportunity to grow and succeed. That is education. That is Clay County District Schools. And I am a proud product of Clay County District Schools. Thank you all for being here this morning.
You know, I've got 2 boys, personally, but if I had a daughter, I want that daughter to be just like Lindsay Jones. Like that. So when I listened to that story and I first heard her say her story, I thought, well, I think sometimes as adults, we don't realize the struggles that kids go through. You didn't hear all the happy stuff in that speech, did you? You heard about the struggles. But what I hope came through at the end was how the people involved in Clay County Schools made a difference for that child and made her into who she is today. And she's absolutely fantastic. She's a little too old to adopt, but if she was younger, I would have given it a shot with Teresa Gillis, because she's fantastic. So to kind of wrap this up, we've got about a couple minutes left. I want to talk about parents for a second. Parents play a vital role in what we've done, what we do in the school system. Parents have students 86% of the time in the year. Schools only have them 14% of the time when you look at it statistically. Parents got to do their portion of it. I know people talk parents' rights. I always add the R word at the end, parents' rights, responsibilities, right? Because they play a vital role in it. There's our latest survey data from parents. On the back of your program, there's a QR code. I'd like for you to take the time to download our newest app, which is called App G. We look for ways to communicate better with the public as part of our school system. You can see all the information related to the school system is on that particular app as we revamp our communication. Here you can see how parents participate through the registered volunteer hours, 29,000 volunteer hours from parents in the community in our school system, over 400